So we've crossed over into the new year of 2023, and the new year always brings a feeling of freshness to our lives and a belief that we can reset. And also, the new year always brings the popular New Year's resolutions. So if your team is like most teams, then I'm sure you've either started or you're about to start your winter workouts for the off season. Now, these winter workouts are an amazing opportunity for you to really advance your skill set and to really sharpen the parts of your game that are lacking. But if you go into these winter workouts without a plan for your improvement, then by the time the winter workouts are done and the season starts, you're going to be the exact same player or coach that you are right now. And we don't want that to happen. So in today's bullpen bulletin, I have a challenge for you. My challenge for you today is to make a plan. Figure out exactly what you're going to focus on for these winter workouts to improve so you can elevate your game on the field this season. And it can be anything. It can be pitching, hitting, bunting, fielding, anything. Just make a plan for your improvement so you can be the 2.0 version of yourself on the field this season. And today I have 3 questions for you to answer that's really going to help you identify what exactly you should focus on for this offseason. Hey team, I'm Coach Art, this is Building Better Baseball, and this is the best place for baseball education. If you're new to the channel and we've never met before, then I want to say welcome to the team. If we've already met, then welcome back. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I always have a free PDF downloadable guide for you that you can take with you after this video is done. But for right now, let's get into the 3 questions that'll help identify what exactly you should focus on this offseason. Question number 1 is, what's one thing that happened to me last season more than once that really frustrated me on the field? So this question might bring up a lot of bad memories that you have from last season on the baseball field, but that's good. That's what this question is meant for. It's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help you think about all of the bad situations that happened on the field. Maybe you got thrown out a bunch of times while you're trying to steal a base, or maybe you popped up all of your bunts that you tried and you never got one down. Those bad situations that happened on the field and those things that really frustrated you more than once, those are exactly what you have to work on in this offseason so you can be a better player on the field this season. So when you answer this question, what really frustrated me on the field last season? What are things that I did that really just got me going, right? When you think about the answer to that question, let's say that it has to do with bunting. You never got a bunt down and you always either struck out or you popped it up or you didn't have a good bunt. Then that whole area of your game of bunting, that's exactly what you need to work on this offseason. The winter workouts is a perfect opportunity for you to focus on bunting and elevate that skill of your game so that when you come out to the field this season, you can be a more confident bunter and be able to perform that for your team. So I'm going to say the question again. What's one thing that happened to me last season more than once that really frustrated me on the field? Because we've all had that happen before, right? Something has happened in the field and we just stomp around and we really get frustrated that we made that mistake. So when you answer this question, I want you to answer it truthfully. I want you to really dig deep and think about all of the things from last season that happened where your response to the situation was getting really frustrated or really angry or throwing something. The answer to that question is a perfect thing to focus on for this offseason and for winter workouts. That's exactly what winter workouts are for. But winter workouts are mainly for you to improve the skills that are lacking in your game so you can be a more complete baseball player. If you're a baseball player who can really hit the ball out of the park, but your fielding is not that great and you make a lot of errors in the field, I would say that this offseason, really try to put more focus on the fielding aspect of your game and not the hitting aspect. Obviously, you want to keep your hitting sharp, right? But in order to be a more complete player, you want to take the things that you're bad at or that really frustrated you, that you made a mistake on the field, you want to take those and elevate that part of your game so that makes you a more complete baseball player. Question number 2 is, what am I continuously nervous or anxious about doing on the baseball field? There's not a player on this planet that is not nervous about doing something on the baseball field. It could be pitching or hitting or bunting or stealing or sliding. It could be as big as a core part of this game like hitting, or it could be as small as something as like fielding a bunt as a pitcher. But there is something that makes every single player nervous or anxious about doing on the baseball field that they would rather avoid doing if they had the chance. And your answer to that question is exactly what you should focus on for this offseason. So if you go back to last season and think about all of the times where you felt nervous or anxious or you had a lot of nerves about doing something and you were really timid about doing the skill and you really didn't want to do it, that is what you should focus on for this offseason and for these winter workouts. I know that when I was a young player, I really didn't like to bunt. I didn't like to bunt. Even though the skill of bunting, I could complete the skill of bunting, I didn't like the atmosphere or the situations that came with bunting. Because normally when you bunt, it's a big situation where you need to move a runner over, or it's the end of the game where you have to perform a suicide squeeze or anything like that. Usually the situation that comes with bunting, that really made me nervous and it really had me anxious all the time that I had to do it. So if I was a youth player and I was answering that question, I would choose to work on my bunting skills this offseason. And I would even take it a step further by asking my coach to try to create a situation where it could make me nervous. A great example is if the coach is doing bunting practice and he says that if you don't get the bunts down, then you have to run 3 laps. Create a situation that would be similar to the baseball field where when you go down to bunt, there's something with that situation that makes you nervous or anxious that you don't want to mess up. So let me ask it again. What is one thing that I am continuously nervous or anxious about doing on the baseball field? Is it bunting? Is it stealing? Whenever you get the steal sign, do you start to sweat and you get really nervous about it? Maybe in these winter workouts, you really work on your stealing and your takeoff when you steal. Whatever your answer to this question is, that's exactly what you should focus on for these winter workouts and for this off season. So this one is not totally a question, it's really just a list. You're gonna make a top 5 list of skills in baseball that you are totally confident in doing on the baseball field. If you're a really good hitter, then you're gonna put hitting. If you're a really good pitcher and you feel confident pitching, you're gonna put pitching. Now, take that top 5 list and look at what is not on the list. What skill is not there? Is stealing on your list? Is bunting on your list? Is running on your list? Is fielding ground balls on your list? Whatever skills are not on your top 5 list, that's exactly what you should focus on for these winter workouts. When you ask yourself these 3 questions, especially make this top 5 list, it's really a process of reflection and reflecting on what kind of player you are and what kind of player you want to be. I think it's safe to say that we all want to be complete baseball players where we are great at hitting and pitching and fielding and stealing and all of the things, right? But just like everybody else, there's always things that we're really good at and there's always things that we're not so good at. That is what winter workouts are for. That's what off-season workouts are to improve and sharpen the skills that are lacking in your game. So by the time that the season starts, you're a more complete baseball player. And going back to the beginning of this video with my challenge to you is to make a plan. Have a plan before you start your winter workouts, or if you've already started, you can make a plan now. Make a plan and write out your plan for improvement. Write down all of the winter workouts that you have, whether it's 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, however long it is. Every single week, write down what skill that you're going to work on. It could be 4 weeks of bunting, and I'm going to really improve my bunting skills. And then after that, it's 4 weeks of stealing, and then 1 week of pitching. Write out your plan so that every single time that you go into a winter workout, you know exactly what you're going to focus on, and you know exactly how you're going to improve that day. If you go in without a plan and you just try to do all of the things and you try to work on your hitting and your pitching and your stealing, you're kind of practicing everything a little bit and you're not really focusing on one thing totally. And that's what we want. That's what the plan is going to be. Have a plan for when you go into winter workouts so you know exactly what you're going to focus on and you know exactly how you're going to improve so you can be a more complete baseball player this season. I hope you think hard about these questions and you answer them truthfully, because the answers to these questions are going to shape how you approach these winter workouts. I hope you take my advice and you challenge yourself to make a plan for these winter workouts, so by the time the season starts, you're the 2.0 version of yourself and you're a more complete baseball player. I'll see you next week for another edition of the Bullpen Bulletin.